Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know the people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off this fucking neck. Love that makes you know. Can't fucking breathe. Love that makes you know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, we're probably in Kung Fu mode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. As I'm sure most of you can tell, I'm running on a backup computer again this week, and it is domo arigato. I'm just happy that it's working. So that being said, we are here and we do have plenty of PunchyKicky goodness to talk about this evening. But before we get into all of that, first and foremost, How the fuck you doing over there, brother?
Another lovely day in paradise. Wish it would stop fucking raining, but you know, thought April showers had long passed, but we're in fucking June and we're still getting showers.
Yeah, no shit. It's a little crazy down here as well, but making it through, making it through. So, as we like to do around here, kick things off first and foremost, get into a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, cancellations, words, uh, relevant things in the combat sports world we feel that you folks need to worry about that have come down the news pipeline since we saw you folks last. Starting off right out at the tippity top, we talked about it last week. We were skeptical about it last week. Turns out we had good reason to be skeptical. Um, the rumor mill started churning first thing Sunday morning, but we found out first thing Monday morning that the UFC 303 press conference live from Dublin, Ireland was quote unquote postponed indefinitely. It is now 5 days later. We have still not gotten any word from anyone involved as to why it was postponed, when it was postponed to, what the fuck is actually happening right now. We are all just kind of living in this fucking weird paradox, waiting to find out if the fight is still on, if the fight is off. Chandler posted some fucking video of him learning some fucking TikTok dance move. McGregor posted a picture of himself smiling, laying on a fucking examination bed in a doctor's office. Dana White said things are happening behind the scenes he can't talk about. It's all just, it's really fucking crazy right now. We've got all sorts of insanity surrounding 303 and zero answers as of right now. So obviously we are going to keep you updated as quickly and as efficiently as we can on that. But as of right now, we're kind of all just in the fucking dark together here because nobody's saying anything. That being said, that brings us to this afternoon's most recent news. Shit show though it may be, the latest George Masvidal versus Nate Diaz press conference took place this afternoon in Anaheim, and as is par for the course at this point, Nate Diaz said that he's tired of this shit. Face off with your damn self, and walked off from the press conference. And as soon as Nate walked around the corner, members of his team got into a fight with George Masvidal and apparently a couple of members of the audience, and there was a giant fucking crazy scrap battle. So that is just an absolute fucking shit show, clown circus if ever there was one. How they expect people to pay $80 to watch that on pay-per-view, I don't understand, but we'll talk more about that card in just a minute in the actual relevant news portion of this. Moving over to the other side of the house here, we got some good news for the first time in a long time for PFL. They have been struggling and chugging along, trying to keep their fucking quote unquote co-leader head above water ever since that whole merger, not merger bullshit went through. Well, they finally did something right. It was a hard, painful process to get there, but as of June 22nd for the Bellator Dublin card, Jimmy Smith is officially back on the commentary team for Bellator once again. There are no official confirmations as to whether or not this was directly in response to Scott Coker no longer being with the organization or not, or Scott Coker and Jimmy Smith's relationship being the reason that he left initially, but Scott's not there anymore and Jimmy's coming back. So their commentary booth on the Bellator and the PFL side of things has been lacking for a hot minute now. I love Big John, but he's not as great on the microphone as he was in the octagon as a referee. That's my opinion, but he's not the same guy. He's a great guy. He's got a great personality, but he just can't fill the role he's trying to fill now. And hopefully Jimmy can breathe some desperately needed life into that situation. That being said, I mentioned we'd come back to it. Well, here we are. We're back to it now. July 6th is when the Masvidal Diaz quote unquote boxing match is actually going to take place. And even though that fight is an absolute shit show top to bottom, they are genuinely building out their undercard with some interesting and genuinely relevant matchups here. Sugar Shane Mosley, boxing fucking royalty, His son's going to be on the card. He's a pro boxer now. They got him to sign on. He's taking on Daniel White, another fairly acclaimed young and up and coming boxer. So they're going to actually have some relevant names on this card. It's not going to be stacked top to bottom, but they're actually putting some genuine boxing talent on this boxing card over there. So I will give a little hat tip for that. That being said, back over on the UFC side of things here, UFC Denver is going to be July 13th, the week after the Masvidal Diaz nonsense. And Dana came out and gave a kind of fight dump. We got confirmation for one that we kind of had heard about, Macy Barber versus Rose Namajunas. He did confirm that fight is on, and that fight is going to be the main event for UFC Denver. Makes sense. That's where Rose is from. They did announce a couple of interesting fights that are going to be on that card as well, though. The first one, Mike Malott, coming off of fucking being the star of Canada, taking on Gilbert Urbina, who, no disrespect, I honestly thought the UFC had already let go. So I'm not sure if he was still on the roster or if they gave him another contract extension or maybe a one fight to come back for this. But either way, hopefully he makes the most of it. A very interesting one that I believe has been made and unmade twice now, but they are saying is now official. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salikov. That is a fucking spectacular matchup, and that Denver card definitely needs some milk, so that will give it a little bit of a fucking shot in the arm for damn sure. And then one that is not really one that I know that was on anybody's radar, but I'm kind of interested to see how it's going to turn out here. Gabriel Bonfim stepping in against Ange Lusa. Not a matchup I think a lot of people had on their radar, but I'm kind of interested to see how that works out because both of those guys are kind of on a little bit of a skid right now and definitely need some help or could get walking papers from a solid ass whooping. So Denver is actually getting a nice little boost in the arm here. It seems they're actually taking it a little bit serious at this point. That being said, in typical fashion, just as soon as we start talking about how Bellator, PFLator is doing something good in bringing Jimmy Smith back, they announced yesterday that they are also bringing Roger Huerta back to fight on the September 28th card. For those of you not in the know, for newer fans, Roger Huerta made his professional MMA debut in 2003. He made his UFC debut in 2006. He hasn't won a fight since 2016, and he hasn't been in an actual fight since he ended his 4-fight losing skid with a semi-retirement in 2021. So a bit of a strange call. To be fair, Roger Huerta is about as OG fucking gets. He fought for the UFC. He fought for Bellator. He fought for ONE. He is now going to be fighting under the PFL side of PFLator. He fought for Cage Warriors. He fought for almost every major MMA promotion that has been around in the last 15 to 20 or so years. Not all of it on the good side, but goddamn if that man's highlight reels are not fucking noteworthy highlight reels. So if he has genuinely recommitted, it could be interesting to see the last few sparks of Roger Huerta's career. On the other side of that, if this is just a cash grab and he's coming off the couch 4 years rusty to try and get a fucking check from PFLator, this is not going to be good for anybody to watch. I hope it's the former, not the latter, but at this point in the game, there's honestly no fucking telling either way. But as if the vibe of old school coming back again was in the air and wasn't strong enough this week with Roger Huerta and Jimmy Smith and all this other nonsense, we got an announcement yesterday that I did not think that I would ever see, but the old school, it seems, is bound and fucking determined to make a comeback because the IVC, the International Valley Tudo Championship, is officially being resurrected, not having put on an actual event since 2019. Valley Tudo is where the vast majority of the early UFC fighters and the concept of the UFC itself stemmed from. And true to the old school form, the original founder is coming back and said that they are returning to the old school IVC Valley Tudo rule set as well. Bare knuckle, no fucking gloves, headbutts, soccer kicks, jumping stomps, 100% legal. The only thing not legal, fish hooks, eye gouging, groin strikes, and hair pulls. That's it. The old school original fucking pit fight rule style. As well, 1 30-minute round. No fucking judges. You get 30 minutes. Do your fucking work or you're going to fucking pay. They have already had several fighters of Brazilian notoriety step up and say, please put me on this card. As of right now, they're aiming for the end of September, early October in Rio de Janeiro. They're working with several different promoters to try and figure out what's going to be the best location to get the best promotion, to get the best amount of Brazilian pride, Valley Tudo, old school fighters on this event. I'm fucking here for it, man. That Valley Tudo shit is part of the reason that we have MMA as we have it today. It would not exist as it does if not for the influence of these crazy fucking Brazilians and that Valley Tudo fucking style. So for them to bring it back, I think it could be a damn good thing and definitely more welcome and needed in the combat sports world than fucking Power Slap. That being said, speaking of old school, because as I said, that's the theme for this week. The old school is coming back again. We got another announcement that I don't think anyone had on their 2024 bingo card, but strap the fuck in, boys and girls, because it's apparently official. Ryzen has officially signed a brand partnership and talent exchange agreement with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. BKFC is going to be putting on a bare knuckle event in Japan, and Ryzen is going to be sending some of their MMA fighters to fight in America in BKFC events in 2024 and 2025. I'm not 100% sure I can say that this is a good idea, but this is probably one of the best options that BKFC has right now and could potentially actually stumble them ass first into a good place to be if they do this correctly.
I think it's definitely raising their stock. I mean, you're getting more eyes on it, and more eyes
For
is
sure.
huge. And you got to think, Ryzen is a huge promotion in Asia. So
Yes.
getting that viewership, that's gonna push them out into deeper waters and get more eyes on it. Like, I know they have other promotions elsewhere in the world right now, but getting into that big Asian market is fucking huge because the two biggest markets over there are Ryzen and One. So I mean, they're right on fucking par if this plays out well for them.
Right. Yeah, no, this could be absolutely fucking huge all the way around. This could absolutely also just as equally blow up in David Feldman's fucking face for trying to get in bed with the Yakuza just to spread his fucking BKFC brand across the globe a little further. But time will tell. Time will tell. That being said, we got confirmation yesterday that the UFC and their legal team have officially submitted their antitrust lawsuit agreement plan to the court for approval. Even though the UFC has agreed to the settlement terms, the fighters have agreed to the settlement terms, it still has to be put through and approved by the court itself. There is still one final measure of attempting at hope that the court could see how ridiculous this settlement is in terms of the grand scale of the lawsuit and what is being sought after, and reject it. But it's very unlikely at this point, given that both sides have come to terms and they've even divvied out a breakdown of how the settlement will be distributed to the fighters involved in the lawsuits themselves. I don't think there's much hope left at this point in the candle to burn for this lawsuit to bring any kind of meaningful change like it had the potential to just 6 months ago. But if it's going to happen, now is quite literally the last stand. This is the moment where we find out if the UFC bought their way into doing business as usual forever, or if someone is going to try and actually hold these fucksticks accountable for the shenanigans that they have been caught red-handed, literally in their own documents, doing for years now. We'll update you when we get a final word on that, but I'm pretty sure we all have a guess as to how this is going to play out. That being said, we talked about it a couple weeks ago when it was first announced. We said that it wasn't going to happen, despite he himself saying, no, that's what's going to happen. We called bullshit immediately. Turns out, Nostra fucking Damas over here. We got confirmation this week that the Buffalo Bills have officially signed a walk-on contract to Olympic gold medalist Gable Stevenson. He is not, in fact, coming to an MMA crossover like he said he was going to do. He's going to play football and make a lot of fucking money, like a lot of us figured he was going to do, like the rumors had been swirling since he initially signed that WWE contract. Turns out Buffalo wrote the check. Gable Stevenson's going to play fucking football in New York. He ain't doing no fucking MMA crossover anytime soon unless he gets cut from the fucking Buffalo Bills, in which case then it seems it's inevitable because UFC can't help but sign guys that have been cut from the NFL. So, I mean, this could be a 3D chess move here, but I don't think so. I think it's just all talk, no action. Gable's going to where the big money and the least amount of fucking risk is. I can't say I blame him, but we fucking knew it, dude. We fucking knew it. That being said, it has been a long time since I have been able to say that I am proud of Major League Baseball officiating. This week, I can actually proudly say that because they have confirmed as of this week, as of yesterday, Wednesday, from this recording, one player has been lifetime banned and 4 others have been suspended in a giant gambling scandal in which players were betting on games that they played in, showing that the MLB has an even less tolerance policy for gambling than ever before. Looking at you, Pete Rose. But there has been a lot of criticism. Words are hard live sometimes. From a lot of people, because a lot of players from a lot of sports have openly been talking recently about how they will bet on the sport that they play in. Not many of them have confirmed that they bet on games that they played in, but several different athletes from several different sports recently have openly talked about how they bet on the sport that they play in. Well, MLB is cracking the fuck down. This is not okay. Between the fraud scandal going on with what's his fucking name, Otani, and his translator, and now the gambling situation here with these 5 gentlemen, the MLB is cracking the fuck down, and I'm glad to see it, especially in a time when James Krause is bragging about being $5 billion in debt because he's doing so good as a real estate agent while he's not competing in combat sports at the time. That being said, last one I've got for news for this week is a bit of a fucking weird one, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about it because it is just the typical kind of fucking weirdness that you would come to expect at this point in the combat sports world. At an auction this week, a gentleman whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce paid $95,000 to spend fight week watching Charles Oliveira train and cut weight for his next fight. Emphasis on the cut weight portion, up to and including sitting in the hot tub and sauna right alongside him. This is the kind of weird shit I would expect the UFC to auction off in some kind of a UFC X fan package nonsense fucking international fight week bullshit. But no. This was an independent thing handled all on Chucky Olive's side between, I believe it was Neymar's auction house. And I believe a bunch of this money is going to be going to charity. So that is cool. But at the same time, doing weird shit for charity is still doing weird shit. Just saying. That being said, though, that's what I've got for news for this week. Do you have anything over there that I might have missed?
Not really, other than well, there is a strong chance of the Tyson fight being completely off. I read earlier today. And they said a strong chance, not just pushed back, but nixed completely. So, but it's still hearsay at this point.
Yeah, it's unofficial, but that's absolutely the way that all signs are pointing to. At this point, it's for a comparison that MMA fans might be able to latch onto. At this point, it has become the John Jones Stipe Miocic fight of the boxing world. Yes, in the moment, it might have drummed up some attention in the moment, but that moment has clearly passed now, and no one needs or wants to see that at this point. So inevitably, we're probably going to get it shoved down our throats, but it's where we stand.
I'm hoping it's not, to be honest.
Same. I don't need to fucking see that. But that being said, that is what I've got for news and recent events this week. Normally, this would be the point where we jump over to our young fellas segment and we talk about the cans and contenders on the card. We are going to talk about the card a little bit later, but with him not here this week because life happens, I'm actually going to take this opportunity and use his segment to mention something a little bit different. I've got a local friend here, goes by the handle Let's Sesh 420, does some awesome cannabis work here, does some breakdowns, does some reviews, starting to do a little bit of a podcast, kind of an interview sort of thing. I was honored and lucky enough to be the first one over on what he is calling now the Sesh Cast Sessions, long form interview where he sits down and has a little one-on-one, kind of like we've done here. I've decided to try and drum up a little interest, try and help get a little promotion for him, get a little promotion for us, and try and help a cannabis enthusiast here in the local lower 48 United States get a little treat here before 7:10. I am going to do a little giveaway involving the video that I shot over there with Let's Sesh 420. Excuse me. I will leave the link to his video down in the description so you can go and check that out. You are going to want to watch that video. It's less than a half an hour, not a lot to consume, but you're going to want to watch that video because tomorrow, Friday, what is it? The 7th. Yeah, Friday the 7th. Excuse me. I'm going to release a full video here on the I'm No Joe channel with all the rules and descriptions of the giveaway and show you the nice new shiny goodies that you can sign yourself up to win for zero cost. All it takes is a little bit of your time, a keen eye, and an open ear. So stay tuned for that video tomorrow. In the meanwhile, drop down in the description, click the link when we are done here to go over and check out the awesome video that I did with the homie Let's Sesh 420. You'll definitely see some familiar faces over on that channel in the future as well, if you keep an eye out as well. But very honored to have had the chance to go over and help him get that going. And you are going to want to go check that out as well if you want to get yourself in a giveaway for some goodies. That being said, though, before we do get into talking about these cards, I want to take just a moment here and break down this weekend's combat sports fight menu because I keep fucking forgetting until the end of the show, and this weekend is fucking loaded. I believe there are 9 cards total from major organizations, 13 from all of them said and done that are happening from the time my show ends tonight until Sunday afternoon. There is combat sports all fucking weekend, folks. So let's jump right into it. So things start off tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central Standard with KSW 95 from over live in Poland. This is another one of those European UFC-feeder organizations. There are a couple of names that folks are going to recognize, like Phil DeFries and Augusto Sakai in the fucking co-main event. There are names that the casuals will recognize on this card. The hardcores are going to know most of it, but then there is still some European talent coming in trying to make their way up to the big leagues on that show, kicking off at noon tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is ONE FC's 167 on Prime, Amazon Prime Video. This is, like I like to say, a true multi-discipline mixed martial arts card. 5 Muay Thai fights and 4-ounce gloves, which are fucking awesome. 1 submission grappling match, 1 kickboxing match, and then 4 actual MMA matches. There are belts on the line here. Mikey Musumeci is going out on here. Rod Tang is going out on here. Sanchai versus Joe Nadawa is on this fucking card. Cade Rotolo is making his MMA debut on this card. This is going to be spectacular combat sports on a Friday evening. And if you've got an Amazon Prime membership, you can already get this for free. You watch it right fucking there. Kicking off a little bit later, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Standard, from over in San Diego, Cage Warriors 173. This is another UFC-feeder organization event. The casuals will know most of this card. The hardcores will know most of the folks on this card. The casuals will still recognize a couple of names on here. There are still some dudes making their way back and forth through the rankings. There are some dudes on their way up trying to get to the UFC. Fun fights to be watched, but not to be outdone at the same exact time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Standard, head-to-head with Cage Warriors tomorrow night is LFA 185. This is another UFC feeder organization event where you are going to see hardcores know most of this card because there are several folks who have been up and down the rankings. There are several folks in this organization who could make their way into the rankings or the bigger organizations, as it were, if they put on a good show this weekend. So you don't want to miss out. Warming up on Saturday, 3 cards to tune in for here. The first big one kicks off at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and that is from over in Prague, Czech Republic here. That is Octagon 58, another one of those European UFC feeder organization types. Some folks on this card will be discernible to the hardcores, but this one is a little more European regional than the others that we've mentioned here. So this is another one. If the guys put on a good show, they could make their way to the big show. There are a couple that you probably will recognize, though, as well. That being said, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. I don't know why they're going head-to-head, but apparently they're going to PFL Tour Europe 2, their second event. This one, the hardcores are going to know about half the card. The casuals will at least know the top portion of the card. Savannah Marshall making her MMA debut to main event there. There's some interesting fights on this card, to be honest with you here. There's a lot of fights because the PFL Europe, I believe they have 17 fights on this total card. So there's a lot to watch, but there are some decent matchups on there as well. That being said, that'll bring us to the card that we are going to talk about and get into a little bit more here. Saturday afternoon, kicking off at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, UFC Louisville, Cannonier versus Imavov. Normally, we would throw over to the young fella here and he would finger the pulse of the MMA world and tell us all about all the young kids who are all fun and all that good stuff, but he ain't here. So me and Golf T are going to bounce this one back and forth. So Golf T, on this UFC Louisville card, it is a hangover card, but it is not the most hangover card that we have seen recently. There are a couple of diamonds in the rough here, I do have to say. So we'll run it down pit-esque, pit adjacent, if you will, here. Which fight on this card stands out to you the most? Which one is the fight that you have to pay attention to on Saturday night when this kicks off?
Oh, you want to talk about that part of it? Okay, I was ready to go a completely different fucking direction here, but God damn it, you threw off my train of thought because normally I start with the fucking bad. Hey, it's all right. I guess we can start with the fucking I'll go decent. And decent is a stretch here. But I want to see how the Brad Count and Jesse Butler fight plays out. I think there is some potential in that fight. Not a ton, but I think I think somebody could get walking papers out of that. Because to be honest, Brad Katona had a good bit of hype coming in, but then the fucking wheels fell off. And unfortunately, I don't think he has it in him to stay. I really don't. Granted, with Jesse Butler sitting across from him, coming in and well, his first fight in the UFC is a rough one. You come in and you fight A10, fucking Jim fucking Miller, since somebody else wouldn't say it, we gotta say it for him. He got slept in the first fucking round, so unfortunately, I think in this case, if Butler can have the bright lights, not be a part of it, and come out and dog walk Brad Katona, we could see Katona get walking papers because there was a point where Katona looked like he had some potential,
Yeah.
but then it just kind of flopped away very quickly, which is a sad thing to see when you bring new blood into the fucking bantamweight division. But
Twice.
who knows? I mean, my honorable mention is who doesn't like to watch Thiago Moises, and I mean Ludwig Klein hasn't looked too bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. At this point, as mean as it seems, Brad Katona is realistically probably better off selling his Ultimate Fighter trophy than he is continuing in the UFC here because he just cannot seem to put it together. Despite literally, I believe this is his third go around in the UFC and just cannot, for whatever reason, fucking capitalize on all these opportunities here. And yeah, Jesse Butler definitely had a fucking rough wake up call intro to the UFC. But to be fair, we've seen a lot of people have that same welcome to the UFC routine run on them as well. Not as interested in the Thiago Moises versus Ludwig Klein just because I have Ludwig Klein is another fucking Ultimate Fighter washout in my opinion. He didn't deserve his place on the Ultimate Fighter. He definitely didn't deserve his place in the UFC after he flunked out of the Ultimate Fighter. At this point, I think it's in both cases they're trying to send the newer blood to kind of flush these fucking old guard out. I will say though, the one that I am the most interested in personally, I can't believe the words are going to come out of my mouth, but they're gonna. Andrea Lee versus Montana De La Rosa. And it's ironically for almost the exact same reason that you are interested in both of those gentlemen fights, because I think this is that matchup that if even one of these ladies can do decent and squirm their way to a boring decision, the other one might catch their walking papers here. And at this point, I'll be the first to admit I was waving that fucking Montana De La Rosa flag fucking loud and proud when she first got signed. I was still waving it when they signed her husband and they tried to do that fucking husband and wife on one card bullshit that failed fucking miserably. I was still trying after we saw that Montana De La Rosa's great at jiu-jitsu and horrible at boxing. And at this point, I'm done waving the fucking flag. Cash me out. I'm done. Whatever's left in my fucking account, give me my fucking change. I'm walking away from the fucking table. At this point, I'm off the Montana De La Rosa train. I have never been a fan of Andrea Lee. She and her both ex and current fucking husband are all dumb as shit, both in the cage and out of it. They can all get in a fucking fire. I don't care. I don't care. I would love to see just Montana get enough of a performance here to get Andrea the fuck out so we don't have to see her anymore. At the same time, I can understandably see Andrea point fighting her way to enough of a decision to get Montana walking papers. But I think that they both understand at this point that your job is on the fucking line. So you better do something here. And we have seen moments from both of them where they had a little bit of potential. So if they both kind of muster up all the good that they've got, this could be very good. It could be boring, but it could be just as good as the other two guy fights. It probably won't, but it could be.
Do you need to go use the restroom to go wash your mouth out real quick now that you got all that out?
I do want to take a drink though, because
It's like a fucking kitty litter box in there.
yeah, it doesn't leave a good flavor for sure.
Wouldn't think so.
That being said, though, now we will go the other way, though. with all of the vast amounts of ridiculousness on this card to be sifted through, which one do you think is the overhyped or the most ridiculous fight still getting fucking shine on this card?
Oh, I'm taking low hanging fruit here. I'm I'm not gonna lie, I'm taking low hanging fruit, and I don't give a goddamn. Raul Rosas Jr. and Ricky Tercios, the rebooking that nobody wanted to watch in the first place. Get that shit the fuck out of here. Nobody cares. Why is it on the main card? Why? Why is it on the main card? I think that's my biggest problem with this rebooking is they rebooked it to the main fucking card. I would rather see God. Oh fuck, this is terrible. I would rather see Andrea Lee and Montana De La Rosa on the fucking main card than those two cocksuckers.
Yeah, there's just no logic to it. I 100% agree. I'll fucking jump right in there with you, and we'll speed bag this low hanging fruit. I don't fucking care. This is stupid as shit. Not just as a matchup, but just in fucking general. Raul Rosas Jr., the quote unquote youngest UFC fighter ever signed, proved almost immediately that he was all hype. And the reason that he got signed was because he had made his way to the UFC destroying cans as a young guy. Good for you. It doesn't make you UFC caliber, and that's already been fucking proven. And then on the other side of the octagon from him, Ricky Tercios, yet again, another ultimate fighter guy who had all the potential in the world, got to the UFC and shit the bed like his last name was Huggies. Just massive amount that fell out of him that we thought was potential and turned out just to be noises and Hadoukens in the fucking cage is off the chart. Neither one of these dudes belong in the UFC, let alone fighting each other, let alone getting the promotion that this fucking fight is getting. I agree 100%. This is so fucking stupid on every level, in my opinion.
Gotta hate.
I will say, honorable mention though. It's close. It's still a distant second, but it's close. An honorable mention is the co-main event itself. Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby does not deserve a fucking co-main event. He has done nothing in his fucking UFC career to warrant getting this much attention on any of his fucking fights yet. B, Dominic Reyes is a former fucking title contender. If Dustin Jacoby is getting a chance against a former title contender, that means that he is inevitably going to be, whether we like it or not, in the conversation for the top 10 for potential title contention should he win this fight in spectacular fashion. And that doesn't deserve to be in a co-main event spot. That's a fight night main event if ever there fucking was one. That would be a much better fight night main event than what Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Tercios was originally fucking booked to be. But at the same time, this has all of the particular mixins, fixins, and makings to be a 15-minute boring both dudes are scared to pull the fucking trigger fest. This is two dudes who are great strikers and mediocre grapplers who don't want to fucking grapple, but also want to knock the other dude out and also are chinny as shit.
Agreed. To be honest, it's hard to pick a really good one out of this. And it's not hard. There's plenty of bad ones. But
I will say one that I'm morbidly curious about. I can't really call it a can fight for me. I can't really call it a contender fight. I'm honestly morbidly curious about it. Is the Zach Reese versus Julian Marquez fight. We have not seen Julian Marquez in so fucking long at this point, and the last time we saw him, he was hurt. So we just don't fucking know whether we're going to get a revigorated Cuban Missile Crisis coming in to call out Miley Cyrus in a post-fight press speech, or we're going to get a dude who's just unfortunately fallen in the path that so many fighters have, that he sustained some type of injury that's almost cyclical, that leads to other injuries, that leads to perpetual re-injuring of the same injury and just prevents him from ever really coming back and witnessing what could have been a potentially great combat sports career. On the other side, who the fuck is Zach Reese?
I think they're throwing up a softball for Cuban Missile Crisis to see if he is back or if that injury is still fucking plaguing him. Because if it is, they might cut fucking bait and call it a day.
Yeah, because he's one he's one of the ones. Now that you mention it, I didn't even think about that. He's one of the ones that got in right around the time the Contender Series started really flooding the UFC with $10,000 and $12,000 contracts. And I believe he's one of his last fights. They disclosed that he makes like almost $200,000 a fight. So he's one of the guys that is still in that mediocre talent range in terms of like resume, but is still on the way fucking high end in terms of paychecks. So if Zach Reese comes in here and dog walks him, I can absolutely see the UFC fucking cut tail and running on the Cuban Missile Crisis for sure.
Hell yeah. I mean, the reason he's getting paid so much is he knew how to work the mic. And that working the mic after those wins, that's what sold him. Because a lot of people, fucking myself included, became a fan of the dude just by the way he was fighting. And then the post fights. Look, I'll say it outright. There are a lot of fighters, they win me over in their post fights or in the fucking post fight pressers.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to win, but if you're good on the fucking mic, you're winning me over. Because I like guys who are smart enough to know how to sell themselves as being a fighter. I mean, this is a tough business, so you got to have that extra little spunk. So, and he's got that. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, asking fucking Miley Cyrus out on a fucking date after a goddamn
Right.
win. Why the fuck not?
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Composure after the fire is done, after the firefight is over, is definitely, I agree 100%. It's one of the most, I won't say the most, but it's one of the larger determining factors in how I feel about a fighter once the fight is done, because winning a fight is half of it. Winning a fight is important, yes, but how you carry yourself, win or lose after that fight, can make or break the overall result of that fight. Whether you lost and handled yourself like a champion or you won and acted like an asshole can completely negate or boost all of the fucking boons or gains that you might have gotten from that event. And this is one of those situations where we've seen Julian Marquez be able to step up on the microphone and just take every fucking opportunity he's been given. But then he fell the fuck out of the spotlight for a hot minute because of injuries here. So I think you're 100% right. I think the UFC has given him that nice little T-ball soft pitch. Here you go, Julian. Can you still play, or do we need to put you on the bench and bring somebody else in at this point?
Well, because
I think you're right
I mean,
on.
they definitely threw a softball pitch. I mean, Zachary Reese got fucking KO'd in his first time out. So Chin is obviously suspect, and
And they're
better
giving
to
him
put
a
it in
power
there.
puncher.
Yeah, put the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis in there to put it to bed.
Yep. I agree. I agree. So I've already made my thoughts pretty well known on the co-main event, so we'll just fucking ignore that bullshit. But I am very curious to hear how you think this main event that we have got coming up in Louisville is going to be played out, because Jared Cannonier seems to think that when he quote unquote beats the shit out of Imamov, he's getting a title shot from this. And Imamov on the other side is doing kind of what Nasruddin Imamov does and just said that he can talk all he wants. I'm just coming to fight Saturday and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, and looking at this, I mean, Cannonier is a talker, though. He's always been kind of a fucking run his mouth kind of guy. Granted, he's never been a walk in the park for anybody either, though.
Right.
He's come close to getting fucking title shots, but shits the bed every time he gets fucking close. And well, Nasruddin has proved that fucking he belongs up there. And let's see, does he come out and do we see some of that fucking goddamn ferocious ground and pound that he's known for? Or are we gonna see another fucking decision that people taking a page out of fucking Strickland's book and figured out how to work him? But then again, he's a fucking character of his own. I mean, there's a reason why he did beat on Adesanya and became the title holder at one point. To be honest, I think this is gonna prove whether this is Cannonier becoming nothing more than the gatekeeper for the top fucking like 5-10, or does Cannonier have one more little push in him? To be honest, I think he's a gatekeeper.
I think it's a little from column A and I think it's a little from column B. I do agree. I think that he is absolutely going to determine here whether he actually has another shot at making a potential run or if he solidifies himself as that fucking gatekeeper stopping the new guys coming up. At the same time, though, as much as I want to say Nasruddin really does have a chance because he genuinely does. Nasruddin Imamov is a very well-rounded young fighter, but he's just that. He's still a very young fighter, and we've seen some moments in fights where he's made poor decisions, and he has literally snatched defeat from the jaws of victory from not having that in-fight IQ that you need to have at this level. Cannonier might not be a fucking world beater, but he is very good in the moment. He makes good snap decisions during a fight. He's been outclassed by some better fighters, absolutely, but it's not for lack of trying. He's never gone in and just fucking laid an egg. I don't remember any fight Jared Cannonier has ever been in where he's gone in and just been boring. And then you add to that his fucking story that is genuinely a real good story. The dude started, much like Alexander Volkanovski, as a gigantic motherfucker and cut his way all the way down. Jared Cannonier used to walk around at 400 fucking pounds. Jared Cannonier doesn't cut to fight at middleweight anymore at 185 pounds. He walks around between 187 and 189 pounds. He said he just changes his diet up a little bit during fight week. That's a great fucking story to have. But if you take that story and then you turn it into a guy who always gets to the top and falls short, then you become middleweight Dustin Poirier, and you don't have the resume to carry the glory that Dustin Poirier does. So you better make the fucking best out of what you got. And at this point, considering they're throwing him against guys down in the rankings enough to be a Nasruddin Imamov, who I still like, but he's way down there. This is the last fucking rodeo at this point. I feel like Jared really has to have it all together, and the talking ain't gonna do nothing because Nasruddin Imamov doesn't give a fuck. You can talk all that madness, you can talk all that fucking greasy shit in his ear, and he won't fucking care until you get in there and beat him. You ain't gonna do shit. So this comes down to the point where are we really gonna see what Jared Cannonier ultimately has? Can he really pull all the fucking strings tight enough to hold that core of potential together and really do something, make a fucking run count? Or is he going to pull a Jamal Hill, talk all that fucking greasiness, come in and get shaman? Also, for the record, I think that's super fucking shitty of Jamal Hill to a month later come out and talk shit about Alex Pereira doing a very minimal fucking celebration and then offering fans 20 grand to come down to his gym and beat him in a sparring session. That's a little bitch made a month later, Jamal. Check yourself, son.
Yeah, but where are you at though? That's the thing.
Right? Oh, kids these
For
days.
fuck's sakes. You know, of all of the fucking terrible post-fight things to bitch about, that's by far the least. He didn't pull the fucking thing he did with fucking Izzy when he fucking and his kid fell
Right.
over, shit like that. I mean, it was very minimal. It was just
Literally all that shit you talked, and I knocked you the fuck out in one round, son.
yeah.
I wasn't mad at it. I'm not even an Alex Pereira fan, and I wasn't mad at that celebration. That was pretty minimal in my opinion. So
It really was. That was minimal at fucking best.
but that being said, there is lots to be had this weekend in terms of PunchyKicky. That being said, though, that will bring us to the point in the podcast where this segment requires its own individual disclaimer. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you the option to go onto their site and create a free account and make fantasy style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on there. So we did. We made one called I'm No Bookie or Group 965, however you need to search it. It is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged to join. Make yourself an account, join our group, and let us know who the fuck you are so we can hold your picks accountable with ours in a little segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
All right, here we go. Last week, pay-per-view, Makhachev Poirier, UFC 302. Which also, if you didn't go and watch that main event, go watch the main event. It actually turned out to be a really good fucking fight. Poirier put up one hell of a stink, and to be honest, there was parts of that where I thought he was going to end up winning that fight. Up until one of the slickest fucking single leg takedowns I've ever seen. That little fucking and spin his ass around, that was fucking beautiful. And I don't like Makhachev. I'll just say that outright. But hey, the fucking dude won me over with that one fucking takedown right at the end to finish the fight. That was absolutely brilliant. But onto our picks from last week. I have to make a dual note in this. Specifically for one of our people here. He managed to do the impossible. I had to put picks in with two because he's having technological challenges, so that way he gets points in our nice little summer Grand Prix that we've got going on here. And that would be Don. He managed to pull the impossible, be mediocre, and trip over his dick at the same fucking time. This is why I had to mention this, because his initial picks that he put in did not count towards the Grand Prix points. I was like, dude, you need to put him in on your other device since he has technology issues. We'll just put it that way. And so he gets it in on the other device that it's got all of it saved on it. And that one, second one, ends up with trip over your dick pics because he even sent me a message. He's like, I put them in last minute and I don't remember if they're all the same for my other one. Fair enough. But you managed to do the impossible, trip over your dick, and be middle of the pack at the same fucking time. I don't know how that's possible, but hey, good on you. But had it not been for that fuckery, it would have been Vin Dog, the booty hog, getting the old trip over your dick award there. Now, with all of that being said, it's not that he did bad on either one of his picks, Don. Both of them were plus 500 or better, meaning over half of the picks, right? For those of you who don't understand the over 500 thing. Everybody in our group over 500 and fucking killing it. And there was quite a few of us that were in the top 500, which is fucking amazing. So I forget how many thousand people fucking picked this last week, but it was fucking fantastic. Is it 6,000? Yeah, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000 people that put in picks on Tapology. And everybody did fantastic. It was a race to the fucking top. I mean, from the top three, you had Meter with 725 points, 11 of 12 correct. Myself, 730 points with 11 of 12 correct, coming second. And Donna, after recovering from fucking knee surgery, is back on top with fucking 11 of 12, 765 points, taking that top spot. However, I don't think that was enough for her to bring herself back up high in the rankings, because those of us who are already up above her in the Summer Grand Prix are going to stay there with those kind of odds. She made a little bit headway, but not a lot. Well, so with that being said, if you haven't joined us and you want to get in on this, come on over to Tapology, Group 965, or I'm No Bookie. Let us know who you are. We'll get you added in, and we'll get you added into our next Grand Prix event, which may be, depending on what we call it, who knows, Midsummer Solstice, Fall Grand Prix, who fucking knows. We'll get there one way, shape, or form, but let us know who you are. That way you can get added, we can talk shit about you, or pat you on the back when you do really well after having knee replacement surgery. Kudos, Donna. Well done this week. Let's take a look here at the fucking Summer Grand Prix that we've got going on here. And currently, as it stands, like I said, Donna did she made some headway here. Not enough to catch me, but a little bit. And I say catch me because I'm still fucking running that top spot with 2,895 points overall in the event so far. Donna is at an even 2,700. Because Christian didn't do so great, she's only 20 points ahead of him. Christian sitting in third with 2,680. Vindog, even though he shit the bed this week, sitting at 2,600. So not far off. He's still within striking distance. And the meter is just making a slow comeback. He's looking for that Rocky moment of trying to pull an old rope-a-dope here, apparently. Sitting with 2,410. And Don, because, well, last week kind of fucked him, or the week before last, kind of fucked himself, put it in on the wrong account, nothing added to it. But this week, with his shit the bed moment, he's up to 1,755. He's a long way out of first place. I don't think we're gonna see Don making that run. But stranger things have happened, so just keep that in mind. We could all just terribly shit the bed over the next couple weeks. So that's where we're sitting so far here. So from top to bottom, myself, Donna, Christian, Vindog, Meter, Don. No, we'll let you know how that pans out. We've got a couple more. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 5 events left. Four events. Yeah, 4 more events coming up. We've got this weekend and then 3 more after that. Last event is going to be 303, which may have a different main event than was scheduled, depending on what is going on right now. Oh, we've got no more pay-per-views until the next pay-per-view we have will be the last of the Summer Grand Prix. We'll keep you all updated from there. And one last time, if you haven't joined us, please come. It's fucking free. Who doesn't like free shit? Bragging rights are great. You get to talk shit. Let us know who you are. We know you're watching. It's just come join us. And if you want to join us and you don't want to tell us who you are, that's fine. Put your picks in, and then you can look and see where you stack up against us. And then if you feel like saying, yeah, I want to join because I'm doing better than you guys, feel free. I like the extra competition. It's a good time. Group 965. I'm no bookie on Tapology. It's free.
Hell yeah. And even if you don't want to join the Grand Prix, the little tournaments, you can still join the group and then you can see exactly how you do compared to us without having to compete, quote unquote, head to head with us. It's fun and it's free. It's a neat little thing. Helps you kick the time by. Group 965. I'm no bookie on tapology.com. Come join the group.
That's it.
That being said,
We got
that's
one,
what we've got. Oh, go ahead.
we got one other thing to do here yet. We didn't do. We got some wonderful fight odds to go over here.
Oh shit, we do. My bad.
It's all right. Not the first time my toes have been stepped on. Probably won't be the last. Now, to start off here, I'm going to let you know almost across the board, as per usual lately, things are pretty coin flippy across the board. I'm going to hit the highlights on a couple, and then I'm going to give you the co-main and main as usual. Some fairly wide odds here. The Rayon dos Santos and the Pua Tamar. They got Tamar coming in as a plus 280 underdog, and Dos Santos coming in as a minus 375 favorite. And then Cody Stamen and Taylor Lopoulos. They've got Stamen coming in as a plus 220 underdog, over Lopoulos as a minus 275 favorite. Now, the widest odds on the card are the Brad Katona and Jesse Butler fight. They have Butler coming in as a plus 450 underdog, and Brad Katona sitting as a minus 650 favorite. Considering how we were just thrashing him through the mud earlier, this might be one of those ones where you bet on the fucking underdog situation. I'm just saying. Oh, that was the widest odds on the card. So, like I said, the other one we're gonna cover here, because everything else, like I said, is pretty coin flippy, is just the co-main and main. Co-main, Dominic Reyes, Dustin Jacoby. Dominic Reyes coming in as a plus 200 underdog over a minus 250 favorite in Dustin Jacoby. I think those odds are a little off there, but you know, it's It's pretty close to coin flippy. And your main event, Cannonier and Nasruddin Imavov, you're looking at a legitimate coin flip. Imavov coming in as a minus 120 favorite. Cannonier is a plus 100 underdog. A legitimate fucking coin flip there. You're really not gonna make any money off the fights this week, unless you pull a rabbit out of your hat, or you feel like doing some parlays, and you better pray to God all of your parlays work out. Because if one is wrong, you don't get paid. That's how the parlay game works. Well, last weekend, not gonna lie, kind of wishing I would have made some parlay bets, because I would have made a lot of fucking money. God damn. Screwed the pooch last weekend. I probably made like 10 grand off of like $100. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So that being said, now that is all that we've got for this particular episode here. So first and foremost, thank you to everyone who was watching, whether you caught us live on Thursday night over on youtube.com/I'mNoJoe, or you're listening the week after we broadcast in the all audio format from anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe from your podcast consumption platform of choice. Either way, we appreciate you tuning in. If you like what we get up to around here, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed and your notification bell is turned on, whatever platform you get this on, so you don't miss an episode, because we would like you to come back and see the next one if you like what we did on this one. That being said, on the other side of that coin, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, when we close the things out around here, that is not the end of the fun. Tomorrow morning, presumably, as like most Friday mornings, the young fellow who did not make it this evening and his other half will probably be putting out their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast as well as their social media, so you can go tell them to feel better, and their links to, and the links to their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server are all down below. But when that finishes up, that is not the end of the fun, because as the week rolls back around on Wednesday nights, temporarily on hiatus, coming back in 2 weeks, on Wednesday nights around 9:30ish over on the Golf Tea Vapes YouTube channel, you can catch the Foggy Fairway, where we hang out, talk a little shit, talk a little advocacy, and teach folks how to do a little bit of vaping and mixing DIY bathtub liquids and all the fun stuffs that go along with that. It is a good time. You should go check that out. The links to his channel and his socials as well are all down in the description below.
If you think you haven't had enough fun yet, and if you're not aware, Meter does many things. In fact, way more things than you would imagine. So if you go down below to Linktree/The Meter Does Many Things, or a Linktree/I'm No Joe, it will take you to all of the many things that the Meter does do. And if you're still looking for a good time after that, go to all the other links he just talked about. There you go.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much, sir. Excuse me. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it's me not doing a giveaway. It's been a minute, but I'm doing another one. God damn it! Pay attention tomorrow.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh.